I'm dumb, even if it's about something totally unrelated to vision, I just lose my shit because I can't see. And in case you don't believe me, have a look at what my eye looks like right now. And then it's like, you know, Mark had told me at dinner my eye looks terrible. I haven't seen it.
I've seen it look worse.
Yeah, I know you have. This is one time she and I were walking out of the mixer. The one up at the apple orchard, did you go to that one? No, because you couldn't find it. You went to the wrong place.
No, I finally got there.
Yeah, okay.
But it was already
Don't bring
going.
up the bad memories.
No, I just sat in the corner and fumed.
When we were leaving that mixer, she goes, your eye is protruding out of your head. And I go, I know, the doctor says it's normal, just shut up.
Is that from Crohn's?
No, it's
Crohn's
because,
does that.
so, my family is such a, like, Blazer over here knows with like my kid and his eyes. We're just such an anomaly, and so the reason why it still looks this way is because I had so much scar tissue from my last surgery that instead of staying up, the scar tissue's up there, so it all just comes down. This is normal, but you're not supposed to see it.
Yeah.
But because I've had eye surgeries before, she said the scar tissue was just crazy. Because I don't know if I told you that during the surgery, I literally screamed for them to stop because it hurt so bad. And then the next day, when you go to the follow-up, she goes, yeah, I didn't realize you were gonna have so much scar tissue. That's why it hurt so bad, and I'm really, really sorry. And so I think that's why this is this way. Because it's all supposed to be happening, but it's all supposed to be happening up here.
Yeah.
But you have one eye surgery, and you just get a bunch of scar tissue, and...
Annabelle had eye surgery the last day of school this year.
Right, from Children's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was the doctor's name?
I don't remember. But I mean, you know, she had one eye was, you know, the muscle
She has the
was too
strabismus.
tight on one side,
Yeah.
and so they tried to straighten it with all kinds of things, and my son had the same problem. And they finally did it, and she looks great now.
Oh, that's so cool.
She got her braces off. Oh my God, she went from a little cutie pie to beautiful. I went, where did this girl come from? Oh my God.
Yeah. They do that. They go for their little phases.
It's amazing. I don't even know how they got all those teeth in her mouth.
Are you with us now, Eric?
Are you here, Eric?
Big day.
It was a big day.
Big day.
Is that why you look so sun?
I was outside all day
Oh,
building a greenhouse suit.
Oh yeah, it looks nice, by the way.
Yeah.
And we would have believed you that it was square and true. You wouldn't have to tell us.
So why you go what? All right. So no one knew. I got it.
I guess I didn't unlock it. My bad. Yeah, you go ahead and leave it open. I thought I left it unlocked. My bad.
I know I still owe you 50 cents.
Oh yeah. No, I
You got a
50
change
cents.
for a 20. No, I owe you 50 cents.
Okay.
I cannot believe that.
This is my purse.
That is so weird.
Parking lot though, right?
I had to start cleaning my bedroom
I
today
can't
because I
believe
couldn't find my
down
purse.
to like 30%.
This is my travel
You have a regular
purse.
charge?
Yeah.
I have my
30%
vaccine
for me, that's
card
all
right.
and my driver's license in it.
I like to put
You know?
Yeah. So
No, I
you
mean,
were
like,
20.
just
So
sitting
I
there.
just
Yeah, that's
this
fine.
reminds me of Mary Tyler Moore's
Games.
show. The
my crack.
who was the Mary Tyler Moore show? The guy who's on
What
set.
show?
Mary Tyler Moore show.
Oh,
The guy that was in
Ted?
charge. Ted.
Ted, yeah,
Ted,
Ted.
yeah.
So Ted owed someone like $1.50, and he kept saying, "Oh, there's a $50 bill." This is 1972 or whatever it was.
Right.
Oh, there's a $50 bill, and so the whole episode just kept going on. The final scene, he brought out all the change he needed to break the 50.
that's one of my favorite shows. You know,
Yeah.
it's celebrity deaths that hit you hard. When Mary Tyler Moore
Oh,
died,
yeah.
I was in the parking lot at Walmart when I saw it, and my mom came around the corner, and I'm bawling, and she's like, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" She thinks something's wrong with one of the kids. I'm like, "Mary Tyler Moore died."
Yeah, I loved her.
Yeah.
I also
Crying
like-
in the Walmart parking lot.
Also like that girl.
Oh, yeah, she's not dead.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I
She's
would
still.
have a blonde that girl. One of my hairs is
Oh,
the
okay.
right length. Yeah.
Yeah, she'd been married to Phil Donahue for like a really long time.
So what's the plan? We're gonna continue where we were.
Yeah, I thought we finished on page 40,
Yeah.
but that's I think I'm guessing on that.
I haven't
so.
read that far, so I'm cold reading.
Yeah.
Am I close to?
And I like that what we did. We just put it around the table last time.
I loved it. I thought it was
Alternating.
super fun. So we start that again with
Yeah,
the.
that was good.
All right. So.
Yeah, I remember we did 41 because I remember that was the four factors.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So Elijah Browning, did we do that one?
Yeah, I did that one.
Okay, so 42.
Yeah, I remember.
I poured soda on my book today.
Oh.
It was curling.
Did we do Lois Spears? You did Lois Spears the first time you were here, didn't you?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. Why don't we just start with Lois Spears on the bottom of 44, and you can start.
Okay.
Yeah, because if I'm remembering correctly, you did a really good job. And then we'll just go all the way around the table.
Okay. Clockwise is.
Here lies the body of Lois Spears, born Lois Fluke, daughter of Willard Fluke, wife of Cyrus Spears, mother of Myrtle and Virgil Spears. Children with clear eyes and sound limbs. I was born blind. I was the happiest of women, as wife, mother, and housekeeper, caring for my loved ones and making my home a place of order and boundless hospitality. For I went about the rooms and about the garden with an instinct as sure as sight, as though there were eyes in my fingertips. Glory to God in the highest.
And this is singing, right?
Song.
Page 46. Yeah.
I bought every kind of machine that's known: grinders, shellers, planters, mowers, mills and rakes and plows and threshers, and all of them stood in the rain and sun, getting rusted, warped, and battered, for I had no sheds to store them in, and no use for most of them. And toward the last, when I thought it over, there by my window, growing clearer about myself, as my pulse slowed down, and looked at one of the mills I bought, which I didn't have the slightest need of, as things turned out, and I never ran, a fine machine, once brightly varnished, and eager to do its work. Now, with its paint washed off, I saw myself as a good machine that life had never used.
Ooh. Hod Putt. Here I lie close to the grave of old Bill Pearsall, who grew rich trading with the Indians and who afterwards took the bankrupt law and emerged from it richer than ever. Myself grown tired of the toil and poverty, and beholding how old Bill and others grew in wealth. Oh, old Bill robbed a traveler one night near Proctor's Grove, killing him unwittingly while doing so. For the which I was tried and hanged. That is my way of going into bankruptcy. Now, we who took the bankrupt law in our respective ways sleep peacefully side by side.
Ida Frickery. Nothing in life is alien to you. I was penniless girl from Summer, who stepped from the morning train in Spoon River. All the houses stood before me with closed doors and drawn shades. I was barred out. I had no place or part in any of them. And I walked past the old McNeely mansion, a castle of stone, midwalks and gardens, with workmen about the place on guard and the county and state upholding it for a lordly owner, full of pride. I was so hungry. I had a vision. I saw a giant pair of scissors dip from the sky, life, the beam of a dredge, like the beam of a dredge, and cut the house in two like a curtain. But at the commercial, I saw a man who winked at me. I asked for work. It was Wash McNeely's son. He proved the link in the chain of tile. He proved the link in the chain of tile to half my ownership of the mansion. Through the breach of promise suit, the scissors. So you see, the house from the day I was born was only waiting for me.
Silas Dement. It was moonlight, and the earth sparkled with new fallen frost. It was midnight, and not a soul was abroad. Out of the chimney of the courthouse, a greyhound of smoke leapt and chased the northwest wind. I carried a ladder to the landing of the stairs and leaned it against the frame of the trap door in the ceiling of the portico. And I crawled under the roof and amid the rafters, and flung among the seasoned timbers a lighted handful of oil-soaked waste. Then I came down and slunk away. In a little while the fire bell rang. Clang, clang, clang. And the Spoon River Ladder Company came with a dozen buckets and began to pour water on the glorious bonfire, growing hotter, higher and higher, till the walls fell in, and the limestone columns where Lincoln stood crashed like trees when the woodsman fells them. When I came back from Joliet prison, there was a new courthouse with a dome, for I was punished like all who destroy the past for the sake of the future.
Do you want to play with me? You'll be Daisy. I think it's a two-parter. So I start, and then you pick it up. And go back and forth.
You're Anner.
I'm Anner.
Did you find us, Sandy? We're on page 48.
Okay.
Over and over, they used to ask me while buying the wine or the beer in Peoria first, and later in Chicago, Denver, Frisco, New York, wherever I lived, how I happened to lead the life, and what was the start of it. Well, I told them a silk dress and a promise of marriage from a rich man. It was Lucius Atherton, but that was not really it at all. Suppose a boy steals an apple from a tray at the grocery store, and they all began to call him a thief. Wherever he goes, thief, thief, thief. The editor.
Did you ever hear the editor Whedon giving to the public treasury any of the money he received for supporting the candidates for office?
The minister.
Did you ever hear Reverend Pete or Reverend Sibley giving any part of the salary earned by keeping still or speaking out as leaders wished them to do to build the waterworks?
The judge.
Did you ever hear the circuit judge helping anyone except the Q, railroad, and the bankers?
The little boy can't get work, and he can't get bread without stealing it. Why, the little boy will steal. It's the way that people regard the theft of the apple that makes the little boy what he is.
But I, Daisy Frazier, who always passed along the streets through rows of nods and smiles and words such as, "There she goes," never was taken before Justice Arnott without contributing $10 and the cost of the school fund to Spoon River. And you're next.
No,
Not yet. She's
Lucky girl.
no, go ahead, Eric.
We're going this way, that's fine.
Indignation Jones. You would not believe, would you, that I came from good Welsh stock, that I was purer blooded than the white trash here, and of more direct lineage than the New Englanders and Virginians of Spoon River. You would not believe that I had been to school and read some books. You saw me only as a rundown man with matted hair and beard and ragged clothes. Sometimes a man's life turns into a cancer, from being bruised and continually bruised, and swells into a purplish mass, like growths on stalks of corn. Here was I, a carpenter, mired in a bog of life into which I walked, thinking it was a meadow, with a slattern for a wife and poor Minerva, my daughter, whom you tormented and drove to death. So I crept like a snail through the days of my life. No more you hear my footsteps in the morning, resounding on the hollow sidewalk, going to the grocery store for a little cornmeal and a nickel's worth of bacon.
Are we gonna skip her, or do you want?
yeah, so you'll be Minerva.
Okay. I am Minerva, the village poetess, hooted at, jeered at by the yahoos of the street, for my heavy body, cockeye, and rolling walk, and all the more when Butch Weldy captured me after a brutal hunt. He left me to my fate with Dr. Myers, and I sank into death, growing numb from the feet up, like on stepping deeper and deeper into a stream of ice. Will someone go to the village newspaper and gather into a book the verses I wrote? I thirsted so for love. I hungered so for love.
No other man, unless it was Doc Hill, did more for people in this town than I, and all the weak, the halt, the improvident, and those who could not pay flocked to me. I was good-hearted, easy Dr. Myers. I was healthy, happy, in comfortable fortune, blessed with a congenial mate. My children raised, all wedded, doing well in the world. And then one night, Minerva, the poetess, came to me in her trouble, crying. I tried to help her out. She died. They indicted me. The newspapers disgraced me. My wife perished of a broken heart, and pneumonia finished me.
Mrs. Myers. He protested all his life long the newspapers lied about him villainously, that he was not at fault for Minerva's fail, but only tried to help her. Poor soul, so sunk in sin he could not see that even trying to help her, as he called it, he had broken the law, human and divine. Passers-by, an ancient admonition to you. If your ways would be ways of pleasantness, and all your pathways peace, love God and keep his commandments.
Who knows where I'm going? Who knows what I'm after? Happiness or sadness, love or hate or laughter. Mrs. Sibley. The secrets of the soul, to receive seed. The secrets of the seed, the germ. The secret of man, the sower. The secret of woman.
Reverend Sibley. I loathed her as a termagant, as a wanton. I knew of her adulteries, every one. But even so, if I divorce the woman, I must forsake the ministry. Therefore, to do God's work and have it crop, I bore with her. So I lied to myself. So lied I to Spoon River. Yet I tried lecturing, ran for the legislator, canvassed for books, with just one thought in mind. If I make money thus, I will divorce her.
I was Willie Metcalf. They used to call me Dr. Myers because they said I looked like him, and he was my father, according to Jack McGuire. I lived in livery stable, sleeping on the floor, side by side with Roger Bowen's bulldog, or sometimes in a stall. I would crawl between the legs of the wildest horses without getting kicked. We knew each other. On spring days, I tramped through the country to get the feeling which I sometimes lost, that I was not a separate thing from the earth. I used to lose myself, as in sleep, by lying with eyes half open in the woods. Sometimes I'd talk with animals, even toads and snakes. Anything that had an eye to look into. Once I saw a stone in sunshine trying to turn into jelly. In April days in this cemetery, the dead people gathered all around me and grew still, like a congregation in silent prayer. I never knew whether I was a part of the earth with flowers growing in me or whether I walked. Now I know.
Go ahead. I don't know where you're at.
I'm on page. You're on page 55. If you'd like to pick up
Batterton
Dobbins.
55.
Yeah.
Did my widow flit about from Mackinac to LA, resting and bathing and sitting an hour or more at a table over soup and meats? I was cut down in my and delicate sweets and coffee. I was cut down in my prime from overwork and anxiety. But I thought all along, whatever happens, I've kept my insurance up, and there's something in the
Bank.
bank
Yeah.
It's hard to read.
and a section of land in Manitoba, and just as I slipped, I had visions. In a last delirium, I saw myself lying, nailed in a box, with a white lawn tie and boutonniere, and my wife was sitting by the window, someplace afar, overlooking the sea. She seemed so rested, ruddy, and fat, although her hair was white, and she smiled and said to a colored waiter, "Another slice of roast beef, George." Here's a nickel for your trouble.
Las Cabanas. From Bindle's Opera House in the Village to Broadway is a great step, but I tried to take it. My ambition fired when 16 years of age, seeing East Lyme played here in the Village by Ralph Barrett, the coming romantic actor who's enthralled my soul. True, I trailed back home a broken failure when Ralph disappeared in New York, leaving me alone in the city, but life broke him also. In all this place of silence, there are no kindred spirits. How I wish Deuce could stand amid the pathos of these quiet fields and read these words.
Hortense Broughton. My name used to be in the papers daily as having dined somewhere or traveled somewhere or rented a house in Paris where I entertained the nobility. I was forever eating or traveling or taking the cure at Baden-Baden. Now I am here to do honor to Spoon River, here beside the family whence I sprang. No one cares now where I dined or lived or whom I entertained, or how often I took the cure at Baden-Baden.
Frank Drummer. Out of his cell into the darkened space, the end at 25. My tongue could not speak what stirred within me, and the village thought me a fool. Yet at the start there was a clear vision, a high and urgent purpose in my soul, which drove me on trying to memorize the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Barney Hainsfeather. If the excursion train to Peoria had just been wrecked, I might have escaped with my life. Certainly I should have escaped this place. But as it was burned as well, they mistook me for John Allen, who sent to the Hebrew cemetery at Chicago, and John for me, so I lie here. It was bad enough to run a clothing store in this town, but to be buried here,
Pettit the poet. Seeds in a dry pond, tick, tick, tick. Tick, 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 like mites in the quarrel. Faint lambics to the full breeze wakens. But the pine trees makes a symphony thereof, triolets, oh that's nice, villanelles, rondelles, rondeaux, ballads by the score with the same old thought. The snows and the roses of yesterday are vanished, and what is love but a rose that fades? Life all around me here in the village, tragedy, comedy, valor and truth, courage, constancy, heroism, failure, all in the loom, and oh, what patterns. Woodlands, meadows, streams, and rivers, blind to all of it, all my life long. Triolets, villanelles, rondelles, rondeaux, seeds in a dry pod, tick, 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 tick. What little, that word I don't know. Iambics. While Homer and Whitman roared in the pines.
Annie Rutledge. Out of me, unworthy and unknown, the vibrations of deathless music, the malice toward none with charity for all. Out of me, the unforgiven of millions towards millions, and the beneficent face of a nation shining with justice and truth. I am Anne Rutledge, who slept beneath these weeds, beloved in life of Abraham Lincoln, wedded to him not through union but through separations. Bloom forever, O Republic, from the dust of my bosom.
Actor 1. Good friends, let's to the fields. I have a fever. After a little walk, and by your pardon, I think I'll sleep. There is no sweeter thing, nor fate more blessed than to sleep. Here, world, I pass you like an orange to a child. I can no more with you. Do what you will.
I love that. Great.
We did it. Has anybody, between the time we met and you got your scripts, come up with any of the monologues that they're like really interested in and want to do?
I kind of like Pauline Barrett.
Right. You want to read it?
Oh, right now?
Unless we want to start from the beginning again, go around, because we have new people, so.
Yeah.
And, but it would be nice in the next week if you look through and kind of do like I did here, just sort of put a tag on ones that you're interested in.
There was that other one, I forget what page or what the one's name was, but it sounded like it was a Asian woman that got beaten to death
Oh, that's right.
Boy,
by the minister's son or something like that. I want all this.
But Robin, I think it's also okay if we don't go in with strong preferences, because I think there's a casting process. He'll honor, I think, someone who
Wait,
really
I'm
wants
sorry,
to do it.
start from the beginning?
Yeah, so I think it's okay if people don't develop strong preferences as well,
Oh, yeah.
because there's a casting process, and you know.
Don't get too excited about it, because
No,
Garrett's
no,
gonna
but-
crush your dreams.
This one's mine! This one's mine!
We also talked about, part of the goal of this gathering was to give each other feedback. So if, if I'm married to something and I'm not doing it well, you're here to support me, to help me grow in my performance of that, right?
Yeah.
So it's either way. You don't have to have a strong preference, but if you'd like to, and then we work together to help each other improve on it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to go through the work of memorizing one of them. Just pick one and get good at it. Whether or not that's something you end up performing, that's not really important. It's just you're going through the exercise.
Right. Because like that night that we did that first meeting, and I, put my big girl panties on and read that thing.
Yeah.
I got some feedback from Scott, which I then later used when I did the.
Which was excellent, I will say.
Thank
I
you.
saw it, and
Thank-
it was very good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Very well
Is that
done.
the studied
Yeah.
the marbled? Yeah.
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 That speaks to me too. That's really nice. It's a really, really poignant monologue that he makes about loss and not going for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really, really spells it out.
Yeah.
So,
Which actor was that?
it's George Gray.
Yeah, George Gray.
It opens right there. Do you want me to start up? So I think of next. You want to just go around, or do you want to
I
just
say sure.
bounce?
Sure. Y'all up for that?
What?
Just doing what we did last week, just start at the beginning and go.
Because we'll land on different ones probably.
Oh, sure.
All right. Where are Elmer, Herman, Bert, Tom, and Charlie? The weak of will, the strong of arm, the clown, the boozer, the fighter. All are sleeping on the hill. One passed in a fever, one was burned in a mine, one was killed in a brawl, one died in a jail, one fell from a bridge toiling for children and wife. All are sleeping on the hill. Where are Ella, Kate, Mag, Lizzie, and Edith, the tender heart, the simple soul, the loud, the proud, the happy one? All are sleeping on the hill. One died in shameful childbirth, one of a thwarted love, one at the hands of a brute in a brothel, one of a broken pride in search of heart's desire, one after life in faraway London and Paris, was brought to her little space by Ella and Kate and Mag. All are sleeping on the hill.
And I say to you that life's a gamble, head and shoulders above all. No bear alive can close the house, and if you lose, you can squeal as you will. You'll not get back your money. He makes the prestige hard to conquer. He stacks the cards to catch your weaknesses and not to beat your strength. And he gives you 70 years to play. For if you cannot win in 70, you cannot win at all. So if you lose, get out of the room. Get out of the room where your time is up. It's mean to sit and fumble the cards and curse your losses led died, whining to try and try.
So you have to give up at 70?
Absolutely.
Apparently.
Well, this is a long time ago. People didn't live that long.
Okay,
Get out of the room, your time's up.
really? Okay, so who wants to be the boy?
Way down upon the Wabash, such land you never know. If Adam had crossed over it, this soil he'd surely own.
He'd swear it was the garden he played in as a boy and straight pronounce it Eden.
in the state of Illinois.
Sorry.
It's both, yeah.
That's okay.
It bounded by Wabash, the Missouri, and the lakes.
There's quicksand in her swampy land, and in her fields are snakes.
But these are just diversions that take not from the joy.
Of living in the garden spot, the state of Illinois. So move your family westward, good health you will enjoy, and rise to the wealth and honor in the state of Illinois. The state of Illinois. The state of Illinois.
No thanks.
Mrs. Williams. I was the milliner, talked about, lied about, mother of Dora, whose strange appearance was charged to her rearing. My eye, quick to beauty, saw much besides ribbons and buckles and feathers and leghorns and belts, to set off sweet faces and dark hair and gold. One thing I will tell you, and one I will ask. The stealers of husbands wear powder and trinkets and fashionable hats. Wives, wear them yourselves. Hats may make divorces. Will they also prevent them? Well now, let me ask you, in all of the children born here in Spoon River if all of the children born here in Spoon River had been reared by the county, somewhere on a farm, and the fathers and mothers had been given their freedom to live and enjoy, change mates if they wished, do you think that Spoon River had been any the worse?
Dora Williams. When Reuben Pantier ran away and threw me, I went to Springfield. There I met a lush, whose father, just deceased, left him a fortune. He married me when drunk. My life was wretched. A year passed, and one day they found him dead. That made me rich. I moved on to Chicago. After a time, met Tyler Roundtree, villain. I moved on to New York, a gray-haired magnate. Went mad about me, so another fortune. He died one night right in my arms, you know. I saw his purple face for years thereafter. There was almost a scandal. I moved on, this time to Paris. I was now a woman, insidious, subtle, versed in the world, and rich. My sweet apartment near the Champs-Élysées became a center for all those sorts of people. Musicians, poets, dandies, artists, nobles, where we spoke French and German, Italian, English. I wed Count Navigato, native of Genoa. We went to Rome. He poisoned me, I think. Now in the Camp Santo overlooking the sea where young Columbus dreamed new worlds. See what they are chiseled? Contessa Navigato, implora eterna quiete.
Archibald Higby. I loved you, Spoon River. I tried to rise above you. I was ashamed of you. I despised you as the place of my nativity. And there in Rome, among the artists, speaking Italian, speaking French, I seemed to myself at times to be free of every trace of my origin. I seemed to be reaching the heights of art and to breathe the air that the masters breathed, and to see the world with their eyes, but still they pass my work and say, "What are you driving at, my friend?" Sometimes the face looks like Apollo's, at others it has a trace of Lincoln's. There was no culture, you know, in Spoon River, and I burned with shame and held my peace. And what could I do, all covered over and weighted down with western soil, except aspire and pray for another birth in the world, with all of Spoon River rooted out of my soul?
Walter Simmons. My parents thought that I would be as great as Edison or greater, for as a boy I made balloons and wondrous kites with toys and clocks, and little engines with tracks to run, and telephones, cans and thread. I played the cornet and painted pictures, modeled in clay, and took the part of the villain in the Octoroon. But then at 21, I married, and I had to live, and so to live, I learned the trade of making watches, and kept the jewelry store on the square, thinking, not of business, but of engine. Of the engine, I studied the calculus to build, and all Spoon River watched and waited to see it work. But it never worked, and a few kind souls believed my genius was somehow hampered by the store. It wasn't true. The truth was this. I didn't have the brains.
Deacon Taylor. I belonged to the church and to the party of prohibition, and the villagers thought I died of eating watermelon. In truth, I had cirrhosis of the liver. For every noon for 30 years, I slipped behind the prescription partition at Trainer's drugstore and poured a generous drink of the bottle marked Spiritus Frumenti.
Emily Sparks. Only the chemist can tell, and not always the chemist, what will result from compounding fluids or solids. And who can tell how men and women will interact on each other, or what children will result? There were Benjamin Pantier and his wife, good in themselves, but evil toward each other. He oxygen, she hydrogen, their son a devastating fire.
Together in this grave lie Benjamin Pantier, attorney at law, and Nig, his dog, constant companion, solace, and friend. Down the gray road, friends, children, men and women, passing one by one out of life, left me till I was alone. With Nig, for partner, bedfellow, comrade, and drink. In the morning of life, I knew aspiration and saw glory. Then she, who survives me, snared my soul with a snare which bled me to death, till I, once strong of will, lay broken, indifferent, living with Nig in a room back of a dingy office.
I know that he told that I snared his soul with a snare which bled him to death. And all the men loved him, and most of the women pitied him. But suppose you are really a lady and have delicate taste, and love the smell of whiskey and onions. And the rhythm of Wordsworth's ode runs in your ears, while he goes about from morning till night, repeating bits of that common thing. Oh, why should the spirit of mortal be proud? And this, suppose you are a woman well endowed, and the only man with whom the law and morality permit you to have the marital relations is the very man that fills you with disgust. Every time you think of it, while you think of it, every time you see him. That's why I drove him away from home, to live with his dog in a dingy room back of his office.
Under my jawbone is snuggled the bony nose of Nig. Our story is lost in silence. Go by, mad world.
Emily Sparks. Where is my boy? My boy? In what far part of the world? The boy I love best of all in the world? I, the teacher, the old maid, the virgin heart, who made them all my children. Did I know my boy aright, thinking of him as spirit aflame, active, ever aspiring?
Reuben Pantier. Well, Emily Sparks, your prayers were not wasted. Your love was not all in vain. I owe whatever I was in life to your hope that would not give up on me, to your love that saw me still as good. Dear Emily Sparks, let me tell you the story. I passed the effect of my father and mother. The milliner's daughter made me trouble, and out I went to the world, where I passed through every peril known of wine and women and joy of life. One night in a room in the Rue de Rivoli, I was drinking wine with a black-eyed coquette, and the tears swam into my eyes. She thought they were amorous tears and smiled, for thought of her conquest over me, but my soul was 3,000 miles away, in the days when you taught me in Spoon River. And just because you no more could love me, nor pray for me, nor write me letters, the eternal silence of you spoke instead. And the black-eyed cocotte took the tears for hers, as well as the deceiving kisses I gave her. Somehow from that hour I had a new vision, dear Emily Sparks.
Oh boy, boy, for whom I prayed and prayed, in many a watchful hour at night, do you remember the letter I wrote you of the beautiful love of Christ? And whether you ever took it or not, my boy, wherever you are, work for your soul's sake, that all the clay of you, all of the dross of you, may yield to the fire of you till the fire is nothing but light. Nothing but light.
Margaret Fuller Slack. I would have been as great as George Eliot, but for the untoward fate. For look at the photograph of me made by Pennywit, chin resting on hand, deep set eyes, gray too, and far searching. But there was the old problem. Should it be celibacy, matrimony, or unchastity? The John Syke, the rich druggist, wooed me, luring me with the promise of leisure for my novel, and I married him, giving birth to 8 children, and had no time to write. It was all over with me anyway, when I ran the needle into my hand while washing the baby's things, and died from lockjaw, an ironical death. Hear me, ambitious souls. Sex is the curse of life.
Nolly Hornheims. Oh, yeah, no, whatever his name is.
How about Hoheimer?
Hoheimer. I was the first fruit of the Battle of Missionary Ridge when I felt the bullet enter my chest. I wish I'd stayed home and gone to jail for stealing the hogs from Curl Tierney, instead of running away and joining the army, rather 1,000 times the county jail, than to lie under the marbled figure with wings and this granite pedestal bearing the words, Pre Patria. What does that mean
I think it's
anyway?
pro-patria.
Pro Patria. What does that mean anyway?
Lydia Puckett.
But you were actually asking.
I did too.
Noel Hoheimer ran away to the war the day before Curl Trineri swore out a warrant through Justice Arnett for stealing hogs, but that's not the reason he turned a soldier. He caught me running with Lucius Atherton. We quarreled and I told him never again to cross my path. Then he stole the hogs and went to the war. Back of every soldier is a woman.
The earth keeps some vibration going there in your heart, and that is you. And if the people find you can fiddle, why, fiddle you must for all your life. How could I till my 40 acres, not to speak of getting more, with a medley of horns, bassoons, and piccolos stirred in my brain by crows and robins and the creak of a windmill, only these. And I never started to plow in my life that someone did not stop in the road and take me away to a dance or a picnic. I ended up with 40 acres. I ended up with a broken fiddle and a broken laugh and 1,000 memories and not a single regret.
Have you seen walking through the village a man with downcast eyes and a haggard face? That is my husband, who, by secretly cruelty, never to be told, robbed me of my youth and my beauty, till at last, wrinkled, and with yellow teeth, and with broken pride and shameful humility, I sank into the grave. But what, think you, gnaws at my husband's heart? The face of what I was, the face of what he made me. These are driving him to the place where I lie. In death, therefore, I am avenged.
She took my strength by minutes. She took my life by hours. She drained me like a fevered moon that saps the spinning world. The days went by like shadows. The minutes wheeled like stars. She took the pity from my heart and made it into smiles. She was a hunk of sculptor's clay. My secret thoughts were fingers that flew behind her pensive brow and lined it deep and with pain, then set the lips and sagged the cheeks and drooped the eyes with sorrow. My soul had entered into the clay, fight with 7 devils. It was not mine, it was hers. She held it, but its struggles modeled a face she hated, and a face I feared to see. I beat the windows, shook the bolts, hit me in the corner, and then she died and haunted me for life.
And now, judge, leader in the state, member of Congress, Hamilton Green.
Do you remember when I fought the bank in the courthouse ring for pocketing the interest on public funds? And when I fought our leading citizens for making the poor the pack horses of the taxes? And when I fought the businessmen who fought me in these fights? Then do you remember?
I was a peasant girl from Germany, blue-eyed, rosy, happy, and strong. And the first place I worked was at the Thomas Green's. On a summer's day when she was away, he stole into the kitchen and took me right in his arms and kissed me on my throat. I turning my head. Then neither of us seemed to know what happened, and I cried for what would become of me. And I cried and cried as my secret began to show. One day, Mrs. Green said she understood and would make no trouble for me, and, being childless, would adopt it. He had given her a farm to be still. So she hid in the house and sent out rumors as if it were going to happen to her, and all went well, and the child was born. They were so kind to me.
I was the only child of Francis Harris of Virginia and Thomas Green of Kentucky, of valiant and honorable, both blood both. From my mother I inherited vivacity, fancy language. From my father, will, judgment, logic, all honor to them for what service I was to the people.